Okay, welcome to SIG Windows. It's November 27th. This is our weekly community meeting. And this is a CNCF project, so we follow the CNCF code of conduct. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to myself or anybody else that is a lead in SIG Windows or across the community. We'll go ahead and get started. I think Mark is out this week. He had a last minute thing he had to take care of this morning. And so I'm going to be running the show today. I posted the agenda in the docs there, so if anybody has anything they want to add, go ahead and do that. Announcements. Next week is KEP Freeze, so it's next Thursday. I think it's October 6th. I think we're on track for a lot of the KEPs, but if you have anything that you're haven't had any eyes on yet, please let us know. Does anybody have anything? Okay, cool. And then we'll do new contributors. I don't think I see any new contributors out there. So, but if anybody wants to say hello, have a moment. Cool. All right. Quiet today. So we'll go ahead and start with the agenda. There was a call for 126 blog posts. I think Mark put together a few that he thought might be good. Either the node service logger, Avrant, I don't know if you think maybe that's a good blog post. It would be.
I would love to make a blog post if that feature gets merged.
Okay. Are we on track with that with the KEP? I think how are we doing that?
I've been pinging. I'm just waiting on reviews. I've already pinged them twice. I usually ping, wait for a week, and then ping again. So I just pinged last week. I'm going to give it a couple more days, then ping again. This time I'm going to ping on Slack, trying to ping in multiple channels. Hopefully Tim will have some time to look at it. Yeah,
I know. He said he was busy on Twitter the other day looking at KEPs, so I know he's out there doing it.
I also changed instead of just saying feature node log viewer, I said the KEP number node log viewer, because Mark and I were thinking, oh, that might get the API people to review it a little bit more if it's associated with the KEP. So
okay, cool.
Doing my bit.
Yep. Right.
But if it goes in, we can do a blog. I don't know what the details are on blogging, but yeah, I can write something up.
Yeah, I think we just need to let them know that we're thinking about doing one, and it's not due until much later in the in the cycle. So
okay,
we've done it before. Usually it's just a markdown. You open up a PR and write a page or two about your product and awesome. Links out. Yep.
I'll sign up for that.
Cool. Yep. So, and we're going to do one for host process containers since we're planning on going to stable in this release. And we're going to highlight some of the various use cases out there. And then I guess question J, K, P, and G, or is that still pretty early?
As far as for what?
Doing like a blog post or something on that?
On the Windows, we could talk about the Windows, how the Windows kernel one works. Mark updated it. So he updated it with some code recently so that it works in AKS, and we do have it working otherwise. I think we could. I feel like if we have two good ones coming out, that might be a good one to keep in our back pocket. Okay. But I can totally do one if you think it's a good timing for it. Just let me know.
Yeah, I guess that probably depends on like where.
I feel like that's a good Swiss Army knife. Like if we don't have anything to announce in the next release, we can do it then. Okay. Like I feel like we've got two good ones here.
Sounds good.
Let me know if somebody if Arvin gets tied up or something, or if someone gets tied up and we want to do that instead. I think that's fine. Or if we decide we really want it, I'll do it. Totally. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Is that like a minimum number of or like you can only put out this? Yeah. So
we can do them all the time. It's just that it's not a minimum amount of blog posts. It's just that that's it's more like there's a maximum amount of times we can use this as a blog post subject. And I feel like if we've got two, we might as well use it. Maybe we might have a bad, we might have some bad luck in next quarter, right? Like we might as well do the KPMG blog post then, you know?
Oh, I see. I see. So you're just trying to like line it up so that we have something out there every release.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already going to put the time in to do a blog post, why I might as well just do mine another time. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we've all got
the
plenty
issue
of
with mine is,
right? So
you know, if the
Yeah.
if the no log service, if the PR gets merged, I will definitely write a blog post.
okay,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
If-
So if you decide not to, then I think it's a really good idea. We can do the KPMG one, and if not,
Okay.
we'll do the KPMG on next time.
Sounds good, Jay. We can coordinate and figure it out.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, as a backup, if there is nothing else, like we can write about the operational readiness.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That would actually be, I think, even better than KPMG, just because it would be good to see if people started using it.
Okay.
I almost feel like that would be a really good idea. Yeah. Because we want people to start using those. Okay, cool. So possibly can we, yeah. Yeah, great.
Any other blog posts that anybody can think of?
Cool. Yeah. Let's have Chinchi. Yeah, go for it.
I say. Cool. Cool. So I think that wraps that up. I got pinged on the retriable jobs KEP. It's a KEP to handle job retries. They mentioned something about skipping Windows support. Mark actually looked into it a little bit more, and this is specifically skipping some of the out of memory killing and anything related to the node reliable shutdown or node shutdown process, because we don't have support for that currently in Windows. But if anybody's out there looking for something to contribute to and is looking for some work, this is something you could jump in on. So I don't know if anybody else has anything else to say here, but Mark ended up looking into it. I thought maybe I'd call out, see if anybody had time to do more work, but
HPA tests.
no, that's the next topic. Yeah.
Oh, that's the kill one you're talking about. Okay. All right.
Yep. Yeah, the retriable jobs kept here. If anybody has, very interested in that, then I can step up and help out. It sounds like we'll get some support for it, just around memory killing. We wouldn't
What
have
do we
that
need?
particular
Do we
support.
need somebody to own the KEP end to end, or do we need somebody to test specific things in it, or what do you need?
No, yeah, it sounds like we don't really need anybody right now, unless somebody has a really strong opinion about having out of memory support, like out of memory killing support and graceful node shutdown.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'd actually probably have to go back and add support for graceful node shutdown before we could do anything with this KEP, it sounds like, after Mark looked into it. Just calling it out so folks are aware that there's features going in that doesn't have full Windows support. Cool. Yeah, so the other one is Mark added this one. The HPA test recently changed, and he was looking into it yesterday, and it looks like the resource consumer isn't causing memory increases. And Claude, we were looking, and I think the container that we're using hasn't been changed in over a year, so I'm not sure if you had any.
So I think I
insight there.
know. I think I know what's happening. Basically, for consuming memory, we're using test limit as a binary, which, from experience, kind of behaves a bit strangely. For example, if you try to consume X amount of memory and it cannot allocate that amount of memory, it will not allocate any of that X amount of memory. which basically means that if you set the memory limit to 250 megabytes, literally to consume 250 megabytes, it will not consume anything because it cannot allocate that much. Especially if you take into consideration that even the container itself actually consumes some memory, or at the very least, the resource consumer binary itself consumes some memory since it's in memory itself, right?
Sure.
So technically, it cannot allocate that much. Then, of course, if it cannot allocate that much, it cannot, raise the consumption. Hence, you cannot scale afterwards.
Got it.
I mean, looking at the query itself, basically the test creates a query, duration seconds, megabytes, and request size megabytes, which is interesting because that argument is never consumed in the resource consumer, it never has. So technically that could be a solution. For example, in the test, it says that you're supposed to consume 250 megabytes and the request size megabytes is 100. Basically, that means it has to consume twice 100 and a 50 consumption itself. So technically, it should at the very least consume 200. That should probably trigger a scale. But that was never a feature of the resource consumer image. I don't think that ever existed, and I think that's pretty much an oversight in the implementation of the image. I think we can treat that argument, and I think that should pretty much solve the memory consumption part of the HPA tests.
Okay, so that is essentially just consuming the memory in smaller chunks up to the limit that causes it to scale.
Yeah, basically, I know that I had a similar issue when we tried to implement similar tests in Containerd, which basically we were testing to see that indeed the memory limits are enforced correctly. And I remember that when we were writing those tests, they would fail if we would try to allocate almost as close as possible to that limit itself. Let's say if it was 250 megabytes, if we're trying to allocate something like 249, that would fail. So we had to allocate a bit less. But yeah. And for the CPU part, still don't know why at this point, but something's different there. For example, some CPU consumption is being done since the replica count actually gets bumped to 2 from 1, but not to the 3 that it is expected. I might assume something similar happens there because there's another request size millicores 100 and millicores 250, and I don't think that argument is treated either.
So is this I mean, the root cause of it
was a change in the way that the HPA tests are being run. So they pushed some changes 2 weeks ago for the HPA tests.
Yeah. But it sounds like there's a problem in the actual container. Like the way the tests run seems correct. And the containers doing what the tests think it should be doing, right?
So as I mentioned, there might be an oversight when it comes to the request. What was the argument name? Request size megabytes for memory, for example. That argument in the URL itself is not consumed, I think, which then basically means that.
But I mean, we're talking about fixing a container, right?
The resource consumer binary itself, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That should probably fix the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the test itself works. It's just the implementation that we have for Windows is causing it to not consume memory.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and for the CPU, that's a bit more strange because technically shouldn't matter there because we basically consume continuously CPU until we reach a certain threshold of CPU usage. So there might be some errors in measurement, basically.
Thanks for looking into that again.
Yeah, no problem.
Excellent. Does anybody else have anything else they want to cover today? Going once. Going twice. All right, then I will end the meeting a few minutes early today. I can't stick around. I have some internal things I have to.
If anybody
to
wants
today,
to
but
do after hours, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. Let me know. All right, see you, James. Oh, Pack Day was fun. Hack week.
oh yeah, I got eBPF for Windows working. But there's another limitation that I ran into, which should be solved in the next few weeks, according to the team. So,
Okay.
but I do have I can post the link to it. It's kind of a hacky demo, but I did get it working.
Yeah. Let us know. Show it to us. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got it. Here, I'll stop the recording. Sorry.